Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shenli. I'm super excited to be here with all of you. And also, honestly, I'm really excited to be here today because we have these four amazing speakers doing the lightning talks with us. Case, Magda, Peeya, and also later gonna join us, Roman. So one of the cool things from today's DevFest is after those four lightning talks, we will have some instructors from GDG Cloud Edmonton, which will be Hassan and Ray, to guide us through the hands-on study jam that we will be doing, as well as guiding us through the hands-on learning and explaining how you can approach those problems. So today I will be the host, as well as Rohan Sir from our GDG Cloud Edmonton leadership team. So without further ado, let's have our speakers to do a high-level introduction of what they're going to be talking about today. Case, do you want to start?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. Everyone, I'm Kacie. I am a Web3 developer at MusicCoin, and sort of my high-level overview of my talk is I'm going to be talking about Web3. I'm going to be talking about sort of like the technology, how it works, and sort of a bit of like the community and how that works, and then sort of explain the differences between Web3 and Web2. And super excited, by the way, to do this. Obviously, Web3 is exploded right now, and it's pretty much changed my life. So I just can't wait to talk about it and sort of explain to you guys what this is all about.
Sounds awesome. Really looking forward to that. And Magda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here. I lead the Google Cloud certifications and digital badges team, and very happy to chat about our digital credentials today. So essentially, the programs I'll be talking about help you validate the skills in the market. I will also introduce some of the training options that Google Cloud offers. And I hope we'll have a chat about how to best prepare for a certification, what's the value of a certification, and also some of the other tools, credentials, skill badges you can earn on the way. So very, very much looking forward to our conversation as well. Thank you.
That's great. That's super excited. I'm really looking forward to that. And Peeya, do you want to introduce yourself and say something about your talk?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'll be talking about, I'm a technical program manager for infrastructure team. I'll be talking about my career path and how you could possibly do better than I can and get to the point sooner. Thank you. Back to you, Chinli.
Yeah, and we're gonna have Roma introduce himself later. So, and the best part of all those is after the four lightning talks and after you completing the study jam today, you will have the access to the platform for 4 months. So even afterwards, you will be able to learn to do things and keep growing your cloud development skills even after today. Last but not the least, we have some lucky draws in the end of the event for some Amazon and Uber Eats gifts. Since now Ray and Hassan joined us, they will be today's Cloud Study Jam instructor. Do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Hi everyone, I'm Hassan. I'm currently working as a software developer, and I'll be seeing you in the Stud Jam after all. We'll see what that's about.
Ray, we cannot hear you.
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I got to switch the speakers. Sorry about that. Well, my name is Ray. I'm currently a full cycle developer. So today, in today's study jam, we're going to go through some fundamental machine learning on Google Cloud Platform, just to correct Xingli on the amount of free months you can get. By practice the first few labs, you will get 1 month free access to the platform. But if you complete a quest, you will get the second month for free. So that's exciting thing. So yeah, looking forward to getting to that section with the participants.
Thank you, Ray. That's even better. And now we have Roman join us, and he will also be our speaker today. We just finished the round of introduction, so you just come right in time. Hand the floor to you for a high-level overview of your talk today.
Great. Again, nice meeting everyone. I'm Roman. I'm a Florida GDE. I'm a cloud professional, certified cloud architect from Google. Also, again, I'm very, very excited to share my experiences about serverless. Again, how to apply those when creating like serverless backends for your mobile, web, and now even desktop applications. So it's very happy to be here sharing those experiences.
Super, thank you. So now we're gonna, without further ado, and I really love the energy that the speakers bring us in such an early morning. So without further ado, Case will handle the first talk, and we'll be back for a quick Q&A. So feel free to share your screen, Case, Kacie, and the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Can you guys see?
Yes.
Cool. So I'll go ahead and start. So just do a bit of a reintroduction. Hello, everyone. I am Kacie. I'm a Web3 developer at MusicCoin right now, and you can mostly find me on Twitter, Discord, and Telegram. I don't use LinkedIn that much because the metaverse doesn't really exist there, and that's not really where my main source of income is. But today we're going to be talking about Web3. And I'm super excited to talk about it. So why don't we just dive right on in? So Web3 right now is, people are really like excited about it. It's got a lot of hype right now, and that's probably because there's a lot of money in the space. So people are sort of like FOMOing, and they're like, what is this? What is this going to do? And a lot of people are sort of in it for the money, which is fine because you can make a lot of money in this space. I earn life-changing money myself, but a lot of people don't exactly know like what Web3 is. So let's go ahead and explain it, and I'm going to give a high-level overview of sort of everything we're going to be talking about. So Web3 right now is a buzzword, and there's a lot of misconception behind it, and a lot of people think that Web3 is essentially like this redefinition of the internet, and they think like everything changes, the structure, everything changes, and really that's not the case. That's not what Web3 is. And I would say that the technology behind Web3 isn't actually revolutionary. So, and to demonstrate that on screen, I have a blockchain written in 50 lines of Python. So for those of you who don't know, the blockchain is sort of the main technology that allows Web3 to exist. But it's not super complicated, right? You can actually write it in like pretty low amount of lines of code, and it's not that the technology is revolutionary. It's sort of the applications of the technology that is super revolutionary. And sorry, I kind of breezed through this really quickly, but I'm gonna try to slow down a little bit. So what is the blockchain, right? So what is Web3? The Web3 is sort of this addition to what we have in Web2 right now, right? It's sort of not this revolutionary thing. Not everything is changing. It's sort of an addition to what we have right now. And the addition is sort of here with this blockchain, right? So what is the blockchain? It's actually super easy to understand. If you understand data structures, this will really hit home. So really the way the blockchain works, which is sort of the technological background of Web3, is you have these blocks and chains, and sort of within these blocks, you have these transactions. So you have these transactions that are written in these blocks, and these blocks are connected by chains, and every time you add a block to the blockchain, the previous block is locked, it's immutable, you can't change it. So that's sort of what this code is doing, and that's sort of the background structure or the technology that allows Web3 to exist. So it's not this super revolutionary thing that is sort of like this next rendition of the internet. It's sort of this technology that's being added, right? So there's a lot of misconception there, and a lot of people think that when they hear Web3, they think that this is the next big jump, right? This is the next big thing, and it's super big in its applications, which I'll talk about in the future, but the technology really isn't super complicated. So I'm sure you guys are used to Web 2, so you know how that works. I don't have to do a lot of explanation there, but sort of what happens is you write some code and it's stored in some central web server, and sort of the browser points to it. And that's sort of what's happening in Web 2. And the way Web 3 works with this technology is, honestly, a lot of the times you still have a central web server to host your front end, but some amount of transactions are being handled on this blockchain. So you have sort of in your code, you sort of point to the blockchain and sort of code applications there in something called smart contracts. So as you can see, it's not this super big revolutionary thing in its technology. It's just an addition, right? Where in Web 2, you write some stuff and it's on some server, like on your GitHub or whatever, and the browser points to it and you see a website. And Web 3, what's happening is you have this sort of, you still have your central web server a lot of the times to host your front end, but now you have some sort of transactions or some sort of things being represented in this blockchain, and you're just pointing to that. So it's actually just an addition to what you're already doing. It's learning Web3 is like learning like another tech stack, right? But it's really cool because the applications are nice. So the applications, so it's the technology isn't revolutionary, but the impact is. So although this, what I just explained now, isn't super hard to comprehend, the impact of what you can do with this technology is really big, especially in ownership and finance. So we mentioned previously that sort of the way the blockchain works is, you know, when you add new blocks to the blockchain, it's locked. So when you add a block, the previous blocks are locked, they're encrypted. You can't sort of add to that. And that's important because what that does is it codes in trust, right? So this is what really you should be paying attention to right now, what I'm about to say. So the fact that when you add a block to the blockchain, that it sort of locks everything, it's important because it codes in trust. And essentially, if everyone believes that nothing can be changed, suddenly you have a mechanism for trust. Suddenly you can send money to somebody in this sort of blockchain environment and believe that no third party can go back and sort of change the transaction. Suddenly, nobody can change your balance, right? Suddenly, you have a mechanism for ownership, because once you own something on the blockchain, once a new block is added, no one can go back in time and change that and change the ownership and say, you know, all of a sudden you don't own this anymore, right? And that's a big sort of jump from what we have now in Web 2, because now, like, for example, if you go to PayPal, all of your money, all of your assets are kind of represented on that platform and they can be manipulated. But all of a sudden you have this mechanism of trust through this data structure-esque like blockchain, where now when you add something there, it can't be changed. And that's essentially the gist of how Web3 works, how the technology works. And by the way, the two use cases I mentioned with ownership and then money is sort of me explaining NFTs and cryptocurrency. So NFTs being sort of the ownership aspect of the blockchain that you can't change, and cryptocurrency being the transactions that a third party can't really go back and change. So that was sort of me explaining. So essentially, just to recap what I just said, because I did go a little bit fast, I'm a little bit nervous, but essentially what I explained was, this is Web3. It's not super revolutionary. I showed you the technology, how super basic it is. But then I went ahead and sort of explained that and said the use cases are really, really big when it comes to sort of ownership and finance, because you have this mechanism where when blocks are added to the blockchain, things can't be changed. So now you have a mechanism of ownership in finance, because with ownership, if you buy something, if you buy an NFT, it's locked. So you buy an NFT, a new block's added to the blockchain, all of a sudden it's locked in, right? No one can go back and change that. So that's sort of the use case for ownership. And I could say a lot of things about that. And sort of the use case for cryptocurrency is you because this is all represented on a blockchain, this is like no third party can go back and change your transaction. So that's sort of what we talked about. And sort of learning the blockchain, learning Web3 is sort of like learning another tech stack. So it's not really this entirely new thing that you have to learn. It's like learning this other tech stack. You have to learn sort of this blockchain, and then you have to sort of learn how to sort of code in this blockchain. That's usually in like languages like Solidity, and then sort of write to it, and then sort of add it to the website that you already have. So that was a bit about the technology. I could go a lot deeper. The bar has been raised really high. So now, aside from NFTs and cryptocurrencies, you have people going to things like ETH Global and writing these like sort of revolutionary protocols, and I can go into like ERC 725s and DeFi protocols, et cetera, et cetera. But I sort of also want to talk about the social aspect of it. So basically, Web3 is sort of just as much a social change as it is sort of technological change. So right now, obviously the founder of Ethereum, he's really young. So the way the space looks right now is like it's sort of dominated by these young people, and sort of the founder of Ethereum, for example, is 27 years old. So I explained a bit about the technology, but it's also really important to understand like Web3 as much as a social change, as a technological change. The reason it exists is you have young people like me who sort of don't really see like this future. You sort of have young people who sorry, I'm going really off script. My bad. So you have these young people. Web3 is sort of dominated by young people right now, and that's because like it's a really big like structure change. So you have things like decentralized organizations. You have things like sort of these communities that exist on Discord and Twitter. And the reason for that is like you have a lot of young people like me who sort of, you see this technology, this big tech industry, and you're like, it's really a lot of times intimidating. It's really like challenging to break into for a lot of people. That there's a lot of like corporate bullshit. So a lot of people sort of that are really young kind of went back and said, why don't we do this? I work for Music Coin. It, at its peak was $100 million. I'm just gonna go ahead and take questions.
Thank you, Kacie. Of blockchain and crypto currency.
pretty frequently. So there is a big risk when yeah, I didn't talk about that. I meant to talk about that. I was a little bit nervous. I apologize.
I'm speaking from perspective of people who are working the it's harder to pick up on the right
recommend if you don't know where to start, I'd start with if you don't know the technology, I would recommend going to things like Build Space. I'd recommend do a super good job in my presentation explaining sort of the tech.
terms, the block sizes.
What determines block sizes is by the way, that's sort of decided there. So if you wanted to make your own blockchain, you could. The name and everything. That's what, like, for example, Binance did, right? So essentially that's how that would work when you're making the blockchain, but it's not a question that comes up a lot.
Public.
Right? So everything is public. You can go see any individual block. You can go back. database. The whole point of this is it's just this
question from Hassan. So he was wondering why some transactions on the
I didn't explain this in my I did explain it, but I didn't say it. So you reward the which block should I mine, right? Should I mine Peeya's block to the blockchain? Yeah, I'm just gonna quick. I know we ran out of time, so I'm gonna quickly just. Even though it's still forking, even though it's still on the EVM, and that's sort of. I just got nervous, and then I went off script.
delays from the main stage to the audience live stage, but we're just gonna continue, and hopefully that delay will become better. But yes, we can hear and see your screen.
Excellent. So once again, my name is Magda, and I lead Google Cloud Credentials on the Google Cloud Learning Services team. And again, always happy to chat about skill validation and skill acquisition with training. So that's the topic of our chat today. And I did want to start with grounding this a little bit more in the external trends and demand. So when we look at the demand in the market, what are the employers looking for? What is one of the driving forces for cloud adoption? It is actually talent and skills in the market. And some of the data points that I really like reviewing and referencing is that over 90% of IT leaders expect to expand their cloud services in the next few years. However, 80% of them identified a lack of internal skills and knowledge as a top barrier to cloud success. So again, lots of demand, needs, many workflows that could move to cloud. However, the challenge still, or I would say the opportunity, is on the cloud skills and talent side. And a little bit also on the job market front. The job postings looking for cloud skills grew over 40% in the last year or so. So definitely an exciting space to be. So today I will briefly review the certifications and training options offered by the Google Cloud team. And I'll start with a little bit of a deeper why. What is really the impact? Like, why would you even consider getting certified? What this can really mean to you? And the data points that we collect come directly from the community of people who achieved the certifications. And I know that some of the speakers later today may also share from their own experience the impact of achieving the certification. So 78% of our certified community who responded to the survey feel more confident in professional future. 82% can prove cloud skill competency to recruiters. 83% feel that their resume is more attractive. And then finally, 85% believe and feel more confident in cloud skills. So with regards to the ways of gaining knowledge, gaining new skills, we offer a variety of tools and modalities as a learning team. First of all, you can acquire knowledge by participating in an instructor-led training, right? In a classroom, or these days, a lot of this is happening virtually. There's a lot of on-demand training available. So the videos with labs that you can study, complete at your own pace everywhere. So very, very flexible format. I think cloud and technical skills is actually all about hands-on. So the hands-on labs are really critical, really important for learning. And then finally, the Google Cloud Certified is a program that helps to validate the skills. So when you are looking to prove that you have a certain skill or competency in a given job role, that is where you would turn. So what we like to really highlight is the certification program provides a benchmark for success. These are the proficiency and job role-based exams. And whenever a team is set up or a new project needs to be launched, the employers may look into these certifications almost as a map of job roles that will be needed to successfully deploy cloud projects. So this slide finally introduces the entire portfolio of our exams. So I'll very briefly make some key points here. So we do have a number of exams on the professional level. These are job role-based exams, which means that what's really critical is the actual hands-on experience in a given domain. So we do recommend you have the industry experience as well as the specific Google Cloud experience. So these exams vary from professional cloud architect, data engineer, machine learning engineer. So you will notice like key job roles in the cloud. Our associate cloud engineer exam is also a practitioner exam, which means you do need hands-on experience. Recommended like really at least 6 months or so of hands-on experience with GCP. I will touch on this exam a little bit more in just a moment. And I think for your audience, since I assume most of you are already developers, much more on a technical side, so our brand new Cloud Digital Leader exam will not be as relevant because this is our first exam for the business audience. So just as a side note, I would say the value of having the business audience certified and understanding cloud is hopefully a better dialogue in the organization where your business stakeholders really understand the value, the benefit of cloud and various solutions. So definitely a great milestone for people on a non-technical path. Otherwise, all of the other exams are practitioner and technical exams. So very briefly, You may wonder, what is the difference in terms of the scope of the exams, particularly the difference between our associate and the professional level exam? And I think the key thing to highlight here is that our associate level exam really focuses on the technical requirements side of the customer implementation. So these are the people, team members who build, deploy, manage. The professional level exams, in addition to the technical requirements, focus on business requirements. So these are the people who design, plan, optimize. So on a team, you definitely need both, right? People who are focused mostly on the technical requirements, as well as people who build, take care of the business requirements side as well. So I wanted to bring to life the entire readiness and preparation path. So I'm taking the example of the associate cloud engineer, because for many people, this is really the starting point into the cloud, into the certification space with cloud. So here is where you will hopefully notice how all of this comes together. So the trainings, the modalities I've mentioned, whether the instructor-led or on demand, then so you complete your trainings, then you practice with labs and you achieve skill badges on your way. I will actually touch on this in a moment as well. And then we have some additional resources, additional preparation courses, the actual exam guide that lists all the topics that the exam covers, the sample questions, and so on. So this is just an example. You will find similar path for every other exam, and all of this is available on Google Cloud training pages. What is a skill badge then? I mentioned, a certification is a job role based, typically really requires years of practical experience. A skill badge is something, I think, as the name implies, that is much more granular, and you achieve it by completing a series of labs followed by a final assessment challenge lab through the Quick Labs learning platform. So I think in the context of certifications, it's a great milestone on your way towards your overall readiness. And there's a variety of skill badges. I think it's a great way to learn by doing, show some momentum, set a milestone for yourself to learn a new skill and earn a badge that can be shared. And hopefully as you build towards your overall certification readiness. So let's take a closer look specifically at the associate cloud engineer. And you can imagine we have very similar material for all of the other exams. So if you're interested in any other role, all of this is available on the external certification website. So the associate cloud engineers deploy applications, monitor operations, and manage enterprise solutions. They use Google Cloud Console and the command line interface to perform common platform-based tasks to maintain one or more deployed solutions that leverage Google-managed or self-managed services on Google Cloud. And then when you go to the exam website, each site will really list the core domains that a given exam covers. So in the instance of the associate cloud engineer, the exam assesses your ability to set up a cloud solution environment, plan and configure a cloud solution, ensure successful operation of a cloud solution, and then configure access and security. Super briefly about the exam, what to expect. The technical exams are 2 hours long. They are multiple choice and multiple select. There are no prerequisites. However, as mentioned, strongly recommended is to have the actual hands-on and practical experience. The exam can be taken either in a dedicated testing center or remote via online proctoring. And I definitely encourage to review the FAQs because there is some technical setup that's required for the online proctoring. There are some books, guides available if that's also a helpful tool for you to prepare. Also webinars under the Cloud on Air link. So if you go to Cloud on Air, there is a certification readiness section, and we offer deep dive webinars for pretty much every exam if you are committed to getting started. And I wanted to close today. This is the final slide with some of the tips and tricks. So just in case you are actually really setting a milestone for yourself, maybe next year to achieve a certification, I wanted to mention just a few quick points with regards to the readiness. So first of all, if you consider a given exam, please start with the review of the exam guide and assess your knowledge, right? What are the domains you're already strong at? What are the potential gaps that you need to address? And then based on this, build your study plan. Many of the certified individuals definitely recommend that having a goal from the timeline perspective in mind was very helpful so that they can plan accordingly. I very much recommend joining a study group or selecting a study buddy, so somebody to really keep you accountable, review your progress together. I think that's always a great advantage. Book your exam early to ensure availability. And then last but not least, really study to learn. So of course, I wish you all who wants to get certified all the best success. At the same time, you know, this is a test. It can be stressful. If this is the only thing that you focus on, you may actually lose something deeper, right? Like just really being able to understand the topics. So as long as your goal is to understand and to really be an expert in the field, I'm sure the exam will follow sooner or later. So studying to learn, I think it's a good mindset. So with this, this is the part of the presentation, and I'm now more than happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Magda. That's a really good and thorough overview, and thank you for your tips as well. Actually, in our chapter, right on time, beginning next year, we're gonna have a cloud study group and organized for whoever is interested in get those certificates. So as following your tips of studying in a group, that's exactly what we want to do, is to get the encouragement from the peers and learn together. Not mentioning about the quick labs credits that we can get from the GDG group. So here's a question for you. Ray was wondering that there are various ways we can learn and practice, prepare for the certification exams. And he's wondering which platform is the most recommended from an efficient point of view.
So the actual core content for readiness that Google offers is the same content. So whether you use it on the new platform Cloud Skills Boost or Coursera or Pluralsight, it's actually the very same content. So I would say just follow your preference, or maybe if you do get credits for any particular platform, it shouldn't matter which one really, because the content is the same. And then the actual hands-on part, so all the labs and skill badges and quests, this is hosted by Quick Labs. So on our new Cloud Skills Boost platform, you'll have access to everything.
Sounds good. And for my personal interest, if you are going to tackle on your first GCP certification, which one is the one that you would recommend?
So it definitely varies per area of expertise and your prior experience. So if you have been active and working in, for example, as a cloud DevOps engineer for a number of years, right? That's like a very naturally, that would be your destination. For many, though, if it's really relatively, you're just brand new to cloud and building your skills, very likely the associate cloud engineer might be the one that you will be studying towards. Again, it's a very comprehensive exam. It's not something that will take that will happen over a few weeks. It's much more counted in months to like be really ready. But if you are curious to really understand deeply the entire product portfolio from the deployment perspective and day-to-day management, Associate Cloud Engineer might be your first step here.
Sounds great. There's no more questions in the chat box, and we're really appreciative for you taking your time today to give us a really great overview about the cloud certifications. Thank you so much, Magda.
Thank you.
Sounds great. So now we're gonna have our third lightning talk. Roman, are you ready? Great. I'm gonna hand the floor over to you, and after that, Rohan will have a Q&A session for your presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, guys. Just give me a quick check just to see whether you guys can see my screen. Perfect. Awesome. Again, first of all, hi, everyone. Welcome to this session about serverless backends on the GCP. I'm Roman Jaquez. I'm a Flutter GDE. I'm Google certified cloud architect, as well as a GDG organizer and a mentor as well. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to GDG Cloud Edmonton for the invitation, the whole organizing team for putting this together, and again, all of you for spending a bit of your Saturday with us. So again, totally appreciate it. I feel very connected to this topic because it has allowed me as a solo developer, but also to the small startups that I've consulted for, to be able to publish like their applications, specifically like their Flutter apps, pair them with a very robust backend, like using serverless, leveraging the serverless ecosystem in a very short period of time, without compromising quality, security, and performance, and of course, future-proofing their applications by keeping scalability in mind. So again, serverless, again, is what we're going to be talking about, and again, very excited to share all that knowledge with you. So let's start. So what is serverless? Again, this term has been misused a little bit by the industry. Serverless, in a nutshell, is a cloud-native development model that allows developers to build and run their applications without having to manage any servers. But let's clarify that misconception better. So there are still servers in serverless, but they're abstracted away from application development. Once your applications are deployed, serverless applications then responds to demand and automatically scale up and down as needed. So why is it called serverless? The short answer is, as you know, the developer, the person who deals with the business logic of your application, doesn't need to be concerned with the server. The service provider handles all that operation for you, all the managing or the infrastructure. In this case, of course, Google. Again, leveraging serverless, that type of infrastructure, leveraging serverless increases developer productivity and time to market. Serverless architecture not only improves that time to market, which is getting your products in front of your users at the reasonable amount of time, but offers optimal resource management, allowing startups and again solo developers like me to focus on their product development. Leveraging serverless in turn then increases developer productivity. You focus on your application code. No more tedious maintenance tasks that aren't specific to your problem. So that way, you as a developer, you don't focus on those tedious tasks and just focus on delivering the best experience possible and just focusing on your code. So how do you know whether serverless is actually for you? Well, serverless is a great option for most projects most of the time. You save the configuration and the maintenance time, you gain a lot of flexibility, and you save more money per request than building your own servers. Sometimes, let's say, you have a specific need where you need to manage the server, like you need to install the software, you need to buy the hardware and set it up on your own. But for most of the cases, you may not need it. You can determine whether serverless is for you if you don't want to manage your own server. So again, the main benefit of serverless is that you don't deal with servers. They're somebody else's problem. You want to pay as you go. Serverless can be cheaper to run, and you only paid when your code is running. If your code is not running, you don't pay anything. So again, it's built down to the millisecond. When there's no traffic, there is no cost, period. Quick time to market. Like if you really want to get to market quicker, like developing an MVP, that's one of the most popular strategies for rolling out, let's say, a web application or a mobile app, is by actually building a minimum viable product and incrementally adding features over time. Then serverless plays very well in this type of scenario because it allows you to dip your toes in the serverless ecosystem without getting in such a major commitment. So you want to try things out instead of you spending a lot of time investing in money and infrastructure and people and time setting up your own servers and whatnot. You can then adopt serverless and without that hard commitment. Also, again, the highest developer productivity. Like really like smaller, more self-contained code, ideally like in a single function, the way that people tend to deploy it right now, like as a cloud function, brings more clarity and focus, which allows for easier testing, a quicker understanding, and shorter development cycles. This, of course, empowers developers to work independently, but also towards the same goal. Again, serverless sits on one side of the spectrum of all the Google Cloud Platform offerings, more towards the dynamic infrastructure. The more you move to the right, then the more is being taken care for you. So you're giving up control over convenience. The industry has seen this shift from like a monolith, slow-moving applications towards a more distributed, event-based, serverless applications built on a microservices architecture based on lightweight, single-purpose functions, where managing the underlying infrastructure is a thing of the past. Like in microservices is not just like a buzzword, it's something that actually has brought a lot of benefit in the industry. Under GCP, the Google Cloud Platform, you have everything you need to build and scale what I call like a one-stop shop. So again, from compute to machine learning, the Google Cloud Platform allows you to securely deliver services to your users with speed and reliability, all built on top of the Google Cloud's infrastructure. So you don't have to worry about those things, worry about that infrastructure and the managing. That's why the term managed and like fully managed it has been coined because of that logic. You can build end-to-end applications by leveraging services across databases, storage, messaging, data analytics, machine learning, smart assistants, and more without having to worry about the underlying infrastructure. So you see, it's not just about like a small function or small code. You can even deal with, again, databases, storage, and other things, all without managing any servers. The best serverless solution will allow you to run like a broad spectrum of applications without any language restrictions, networking restrictions, or even regional restrictions. Because when you deploy these applications, they're automatically able to be scaled globally, so then all your users can actually reach those services closer to them and with a lot of efficiency. I can tell you by personal experiences, again, as a solo developer, or let's say if you are a small startup, you can grow from a prototype to production without having to think about capacity, reliability, or performance. And of course, being conscious about your budget. Other features about a serverless ecosystem, like the benefits that a serverless ecosystem gives you as a startup or a solo developer, is the fact the rapid auto scaling from nothing, from zero to millions of users, the option of the pay-per-use billing models, as well as low barriers of entry through simplicity. Like I mentioned before, you can dip your toes into this by providing a very low commitment, but then the benefits that you gain are, again, immense. Let me explain a few cases then that you can, in which you can picture your project or your product being implemented as a serverless architecture on the GCP. Let's try, for example, like the simplest example. You want to host your web application. Let's say it's built on Python or Angular or anything, like just a simple web app. You want your clients to access this globally. You want to serve both dynamic and static content. Of course, you can leverage serverless. You don't have to do the thing of the past where you have to set up a server and install the server like a web server in there and then host your website. In this case, you can leverage the Google Cloud, and you can use, for example, a service called like Google Cloud Run, which is Google's next frontier of development and deployment of highly scalable containerized applications on a fully managed serverless platform. You host your assets on a cloud storage, let's say on a Google Cloud Storage bucket. You can serve them via Cloud Run, where then it containerizes your web server, whether you want to do it on Nginx, on Django, Express.js, anything. You can also host your web app and other services also running on top of the Google Cloud that are even serverless. For example, Firebase hosting, also running on top of the GCP. You see the pattern? All serverless. No need to manage a single server. Let's try another one. For example, let's say you have a podcast and you want to process your audio files. You want to extract metadata from them. You want to store them in the cloud, serve them through your website. You want to convert the audio to text. You can do that. For example, you can upload them to a cloud storage bucket, which then will trigger a notification using a distributed messaging queue system, let's say like Google Cloud PubSub, which in turn triggers a cloud function to go and fetch the file from cloud storage, then pick up the file, process it, extract the metadata from it in a very highly scalable and distributed manner. And then let's say store that metadata in a NoSQL document-based collection type of database, let's say like Cloud Firestore. You see the pattern again? No servers, all serverless. You don't need to manage a single server just to accomplish something like this. Let me just give you another example. Let's say you want to host your own RESTful APIs in a microservices architecture type of style in the cloud. Let's say, well, you can host all that backend as individual cloud functions, each running a separate runtime if you like. Let's say you want to do one function in Python, you want to do another one in Node.js, another one in Go, another one in .NET. You can do that. All like taking care of like your encryption, encrypted communication. That way you only pay for when your function runs, and you can make it so that it scales up and down as traffic increases, and you don't have to take care of anything for, in that aspect. Then let's say you want to fetch the data from a NoSQL database that is global and very distributed with real-time capabilities. Let's say Cloud Firestore again. All serverless. You see the pattern? All serverless. No need to manage a single server. How about an app that requires user authentication using, let's say, the many third-party providers out there like Google, Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft? You want your users to continuously use those third-party services that allows them to authenticate with your applications. Well, you can leverage Firebase Authentication, which allows you to only give authenticated users the ability to make calls into your APIs in a very secure way. You can use, again, like I said earlier, like Cloud PubSub notification to just trigger a notification to your users. You can store like images and recordings into cloud storage. You see all of this, like this type of architecture, again, all serverless, no managing a single server. And last but not least, let's say if you want to host your own chatbots and conversational actions that you can access via devices like smart home devices like the Google Nest family of smart home devices. Well, there's a service called Dialogflow, which allows you to provide webhooks that you can connect to existing Google Cloud functions, which contains the code that power the capabilities of your conversational user interfaces. Again, you see the pattern? All serverless without managing a single server. And what is the best thing out of all of this? You can learn all of this via the many cloud study jams. Actually, today we're going to have a cloud study jam later today. So you should take advantage of all the knowledge that you can get through those cloud study jams. I personally recommend like a few of them that actually provide you with a lot of the serverless knowledge that you might want to pick up. And then, for example, like the team here, they can provide you like quick lab codes and all that you can use to leverage that knowledge. In conclusion, just to wrap up, serverless computing has been one of the most beneficial advents in modern software development. It has enabled the next generation of developers to come online faster and with less friction. This is an extremely exciting time to be in the world of application development today. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you all create in the serverless ecosystem provided by GCP. Again, thank you, all of you, for joining this session, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the event. Again, thank you very much. I'm going to drop my my Twitter account there so you guys can follow me. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you again.
Thanks, Roman, for such a wonderful talk. It was very clear, concise, and to the point. In fact, I'm actually convinced that I'll move all my applications to serverless now.
That's right.
So yeah. So I actually have, we have a couple of questions. The first question is from Yanming Xu. So he's asking, what's the benefit of using serverless platform for, let's say a company product?
It all depends on the needs of your company, let's say, because you might even be surprised that maybe serverless may not work for you. So you kind of have to do that evaluation. Let's say, let's say you don't have like an in-house, let's say, like network team that can set up your servers and whatnot. But let's say a company may require that their services are run in-house. So then in that particular case, then maybe serverless may not be for you. Although there are aspects that you can even let's say set up in-house, like within your own let's say your own building. Like you can set up a server that you can then set up something that resembles serverless. But it all depends on your company, or it depends on your needs. But I would say it would apply for most needs, for most companies, if you don't have like an in-house network team that can set up all these infrastructure for you. So then that way you can move, let's say, all your services to the cloud, and you can just explore those services. Let's say if you don't want to engage in like a multi-year contract with or invest in hardware, you can just adopt the cloud for like a small fee. And then let's say if you think that doesn't work for you, you can even cancel it. So that is one of the benefits of using serverless. So even if you, let's say, are not sure about serverless, I would even recommend just try it out, because the commitment is very low, and again, the impact is very minimal, because if you don't want to do it, you don't have to like return servers or like spend a lot of money on that. So I would still say, if you want to go ahead and just play with that, the Google Cloud provides you with a free tier that you can explore, play around, and then you can, like, again, like I mentioned, like you can dip your toes into that, and then with a very low commitment. So yeah, I would still say try it out if it may work for you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that was a very clear answer. So the next question is from Hassan. He wants to ask, say I want to move from one cloud service to another one. Are serverless architectures similar across different platforms?
Great question, Hassan. So yes, even the knowledge may be transferable between some cloud providers. It all depends on maybe what is your personal opinion. Let's say maybe your company is invested more in one cloud provider than another. But I would say, for example, the great thing about all these serverless architectures, for example, in the case of containers, you can move your containers from one provider to another. You can even try to move code, let's say your serverless functions, from even one provider to another. For example, if you compare, let's say, AWS Lambda functions to Azure functions to even cloud functions, they may be similar under the hood. But for example, it all depends on maybe what your, let's say, your whole architecture is about, whether you're invested in one cloud provider or another, or even personal choice. But I would say, yes, they are very similar. But in the great thing that they've done is to make sure that you can migrate from one let's say cloud provider to another by making it very agnostic to the underlying architecture. Because again, like I said, you can have all your applications containerized. That way you can move them from cloud provider to cloud provider in a very seamless fashion. So yes, you could attempt to do that. Yes.
Yeah, that was a very good answer to the question. And I'm pretty sure you can actually see the question in the Q&A chat, but I'm just going to read it out.
I can take a look at it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to read it out for the other people. So, and the final question is, Kostuba wanted to ask, what's the pricing factor between server and serverless? You kind of answered this question by talking about the free tier, but yeah, if you
Exactly.
want to expand on that, yeah.
Definitely, yes. And thank you very much for your question. Exactly. That what I mentioned is like there is a free tier that allows you to explore your the options that you have. You can even take it for a trial, and then even try to create services in there and all your infrastructure. But as far as like server, like physical server to a serverless, one of the things that I mentioned was, for example, that you only pay for when your code is running. If your code is not running, there's no traffic being directed to it, you don't pay anything, as opposed to a server where you have to pay for electricity, you have to pay for the time that it runs, you have to again, you have to maintain all that because it's constantly running, regardless of whether there's even a single user connected to it. Then you're incurred into all those costs. Now let's say if you want to let's say your application went viral. Now you have to purchase more servers. So you have to scale horizontally. Let's say you have to buy more servers, or you have to scale vertically. You have to beef up your server by adding more hard drives or more memory. In the case of serverless, you don't have to do anything, because when your traffic increases, it only just scales up and down automatically. That's the term that they coined, like it's very elastic. So on itself, it just scales up and down. And after, let's say, all that traffic dies down, let's say it just goes back to zero, and you don't have to either like decommission servers or anything like that. So I would say serverless provides you more cost, a bang for your buck, as opposed to serverless. But again, there are situations where having your physical server even is better than serverless. For example, when you do like high computations of like let's say machine learning, there are some times that maybe your cost may balloon when you have it on a serverless platform. So you have to like kind of weigh what type of situations you're running, what type of application is it. But I would say most of the time, for most of the situations, serverless might be a more cost-effective approach. So anyway, thank you for your question.
Yeah, thanks, Roman. That was very clear, concise, and I love the energy. Keep it up. And Ray was asking whether you're up for a Flutter study jam, but we can take this offline.
Yes,
and reach out to you
definitely.
later.
Please,
Yes.
I'm gonna drop. I dropped my my Twitter in there. You can DM me. You can send me any messages. You can follow me, and we can take it up offline. But I truly appreciate it, all your questions, and again all your energy. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Roman, for that. So yeah, next we'll move on to Peeya. Peeya, he will give a talk on GCP, and yeah, go ahead, Peeya. The floor is all yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't have anything to present today, but good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing great this morning. It shows dedication to be this early in the morning and on the weekend to boot. When Shinli asked me to give 15 minutes talk about GCP, I felt honored to be asked, but then fear sets in. How can I talk about any technology in this short amount of time? After I saw the great speaker before me, the fear got worse. After spending some time thinking about what I could say to help the community, I decided to tell you a story titled The Winding Path. Long, long time ago, in the place far, far away, Thailand to be exact, there was a little boy named D. When someone asked him what he wanted to be when he grows up, he said, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But then he continued to rattle on, say, I want to be a doctor, astronaut, scientist, teachers, and on and on. Finally, he settled on one thing. He wants to be everything. D went to college in a place far, far from home and got a degree in electrical engineering. He started working for a small company with just 6 people. The device that the company makes is to detect defective wheels on trains. He started working as a software engineer and soon took over the hardware engineering as well. The product was used in the underwater tunnel between UK and France. If you don't know, it's called the channel. The product prevents the damage on the tunnel that the train goes through because it's underwater. Any damage could potentially cause a flood and cost lives. When work there got boring, Dee went to a larger company to build communication devices. There were 35 people at that company. There, he became test automation engineer, software engineer, hardware, system architect, and tech lead. One day, a VP of engineering came to him and asked him to go to a customer and figure out why the product is not working at one of the customers. He said, "That's not my job. That's supposed to be support engineering job. I don't do support." Later that day, the CEO of the company came and asked him to go to that customer. The CEO also said, "If we lose this customer, the company will have to lay off some people." Of course, that evening, he flew out to the customer. When he talked to the customer, he spent hours listening to the customer complain about why the product didn't work. But later that afternoon, after debugging for a few hours, he was able to figure out what the problem was, make changes to the code, load into the hardware, and fix the problem. From that time on, the customer asked the company to send him over on a regular basis. After establishing good connection with the customer, D became the company's first product manager. He created proposals for the company to build and solve customer problems using the information discussed with the customer. The career flourished. When the company wanted to expand into the international market, he was asked to go train sales engineers in many of the countries the company expanded into. It wasn't one of the best times of his life. He enjoyed trips to many countries. And by the way, it's great to have someone pay for your vacation on a regular basis. Lesson number 1, don't say no to potential opportunities. It may lead to something wonderful and great trips like this one. Later, the company was sold to a larger company, let go of many people, including D. It was this time that D started dreaming about working for Google. Several interviews with the company didn't result in an offer. He started learning about Google Cloud and machine learning. And to make it more challenging, he decided to teach this to other people. A few of his friends formed a company, a group to train people, software engineers, on how to pivot to cloud and data engineering and machine learning engineer. A few months later, Google customer engineer reached out to the group and sponsored several events to train people on Google campuses, and they also paid for food during that event. Almost everyone who went through the training passed the certification test and got certified by GCP. Some even got a job as data engineer and machine learning engineers at many prominent companies. D got professional architect, cloud architect, and data engineering certificate within a week of each other. He started consulting with companies, building data pipeline, machine learning models to predict failures and trends. The experience grows his knowledge even further. Lesson number 2, learn with the intent to teach. When you have this mindset, you're very focused in the training and exercise, not just letting pass through and just complete the steps. The research in the subject, you will research in these subjects, and you would have done things that you would not have done if you were just to learn the subject only. The return on the investment of your time will increase many folds because it deepens your knowledge. Learn the subject well. Make certification a verification of what you know, not just as a gate, just as Magda said earlier. Where does this story end? Today, I can say, I am a Googler. Don't worry, no one will die. I don't have the infinity gauntlet, and I didn't wish for anyone to die. My wish is for everyone to learn wonderful things today and continue that journey. When someone asks me today, what do I want to do when I grow up? I still say, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm hoping that Google will help me figure that out. Nowadays, I don't grow much vertically. I grow up here and sideways. Dreams do come true when you put great efforts to make it happen. It may take longer than usual. It was a long and winding path for me. I would suggest that you get a coach or a mentor to help you shorten this path and make it less winding. And have fun with the journey. By the way, I would like to let you in on a secret about Google. Please don't let this get out. Within Google, there's an ocean of knowledge. There's so much opportunity to grow and learn. The code of the services that you'll be working on today is open for everyone to see. All the developers can just search and find this code and learn from the code in even a deeper level. With so much information, how do you find what you're looking for? Within Google, we just Google it. But the search system in Google is called MoMA. I wish that everyone takes 3 things from my talk today. First, don't say no to potential opportunities. You never know what wonderful things they will lead you to. Second, learn the subject with the intent to teach it to others. This will amplify your focus and increase your understanding many folds. And third, get a coach or a mentor. Better yet, get many of them. The journey given me the opportunity to meet many people, including beautiful, hardworking, and intelligent ladies named Shinli and Vanya. Happy learning today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you talk today. Is there any questions?
Thanks for the wonderful talk. It was a great story and I enjoyed it a lot. And Shinli has a question. So she wants to ask, do you mind sharing a thing or a decision that you wish to do differently and why?
That's a good question. The decisions, had I optimized the decisions throughout my career, it may have changed me to a different path. And I'm not sure whether I want to go to a different path than this one. But if there's one decision that I wish I made earlier and put more effort into it, is to get into Google earlier. There's so much things to learn in here and places to grow. It's an amazing place. I've been with the company for just about a month and a half, and I'm enjoying this trip. It's just an ocean of knowledge inside of Google itself.
Yeah, that's great. I wish everyone also takes something home from that idea and gets into Google earlier so that they can learn more and advance in their careers. Yeah, it's fun. I also like the Avengers reference about the Infinity Gauntlet. It was fun. I really liked it. Yeah, and I guess all the 3 points you mentioned about what should we take home for the talk, like never say no to potential opportunities, learn with the intention of teaching others, and finally, sorry, what was the final thing?
Get a coach or mentor.
Get a coach or mentor, yeah.
Oh, many of them. Get
Yeah.
like one for your speech, one for your technical, and one for career growth. Get many of them because they will help you shorten that path.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel like these 3 points are very important for any person who want to, get ahead in their life and want to advance their careers. And I'm pretty sure it was a different approach, like talking about a career um, and put it in a story. So it was very nice. I liked it. And I'm pretty sure all the people in the audience also liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone learned something today and learn with the intent to teach. Whether you will teach it or not doesn't matter. Learn with the intent to teach because it will amplify the focus. It helps me focus, and I'm sure it did help many people who I've worked with before. And when I learned that way, I took the certification test within just a week of each other. I mean, by that time I started working, or had already started working in networking architecture, building machine learning models and stuff and those things. But that happened because I learned with the intent to teach.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think everybody should learn with the intent to teach. And it's also easier, and you enjoy the subject so much more when you keep that in mind with the intent to teach other people. So yeah, thanks for the talk again. It was great. And we are actually pretty much like done with the lightning talks, I guess. And we are good on time. We are very good on time. And do you have anything else to say, Peeya?
No, I wish everyone enjoyed the trip, the journey today too. I mean, when you enjoy what you're doing, you will do better at it. I mean, enjoy the trip and the learning. By the way, I found out that even with Quick Lab, even though they said they give you 2 months or like after you do the lab, but if you continue to do the labs, that kept on adding 1 month after another. My Quick Lab, when I started working with Quick Lab, that continued for about a year. I mean, I got a year worth of Quick Lab without having to do anything. If you do Quick Lab on a frequent basis, I think the system somehow gives you additional month. And I don't know whether the experience will be the same nowadays, but that had been my experience of them. And I continued to work with Quick Labs. And sometimes when I want to figure out some things, I would go into Quick Lab and play around with it. And then it kept on giving me more months for free.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm pretty sure like in the Cloud Study Jam, people will have an opportunity to explore that. Yeah, and that was amazing. Thanks again, Peeya. And I guess we can take a break now. And after the break at 10:40, we'll come back for the Cloud Study Jam, everyone. And yeah, we'll take a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
Now.
Have a
Yeah.
great day.
Yeah, you too, Peeya. That was amazing. As a quick announcement to the attendees, feel free to go to the networking tab on top of the web page, and you can see like tables where you could join and talk to other people while we get started with the Cloud Study Jam. So feel free to go over there and meet other people and have a chat about what you liked and new topics, anything you want to talk about. So yeah, please go ahead to the networking tab and enjoy, and we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Hey, Hasan, do you mind just join this feed as well?
All right.
Hey, Hasan.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool.
Ray, I guess we could start in like 2 minutes, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, just get started. We're going to share a couple of links in the chat channel so that you don't really need to type in all those links to get into this information. So the first link is the the Cloud Study Gems you're seeing on my screen here. So this is sort of the entry point, getting to the quest we're going to do today. There are a couple of things be mindful. First, it is recommended if you have already enrolled in this quest, which is the perform foundational data ML and AI tasks. So in my case, I've already enrolled in this. In order to use the code we're providing today, you first should need to unenroll yourself from this quest so that the proper forms will be prompted for you to enter the code and be able to use the code. Otherwise, you'll get warnings saying you're already enrolled. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we highly recommend you to use incognito browser for this quest. Not only because just so that you have a clean GCP project that you will be using, and also you won't be accidentally using your personal GCP project. We don't want that to happen because potentially there will be fees incurred if you accidentally enter your own project. So in my case, I unenrolled from this quest that I previously enrolled, and then also I'm going to actually log myself out as well. So let's see. I'm going to ask a few questions in the chat, and if you already at that step, you can just give us a thumbs up so that we know where everyone's at. First, you can use this link to get into the study jam. And the quest we picked today is under the machine learning and artificial intelligence. And we're going to pick the first one. This is a very intro level quest. And the purpose of this study jam is to make sure, as someone who's new to the Skills Boost platform or Quick Lab platform, you know how each section, so what do they entail, and as most of the labs are self-paced labs, so while you're doing it yourself, which part can you get what kind of information, and just a sort of walkthrough of the platform. And we won't be able to complete this full quest because it is recommended 6 hours to complete this quest, but we are going to go through definitely the first one, and we will try our best to complete the second one. Now, by doing those two labs, you will be getting 1 month free Quick Lab. And if you can complete the quest at the end, and the very last step is a sort of challenge lab. And after you complete this quest, you will get a second month for free. And earlier, one of our speakers mentioned that if you keep practicing, you will continue getting the free months. Personally, I haven't tried before. I'm sort of a loyal subscriber to the original Quick Lab. So it has been very beneficial to myself. And I hope, if you guys can get unlimited free access to this platform, you can also learn a lot from it. Okay, so let's go to enroll into this lab. So you will have this form prompt up and to enter your code. The code we will be using today, I'm also going to send that code to chat. So this is the code.
I can paste it right away here.
Okay, yeah. Hasan, if you can do that, that would be great. So this is the code we will be going to be using today. Now let me enter here. I am not about, and then I can submit. So this will lead you to this page, and then we click enroll into this quest. Now, this is where you will be using your, if you previously used the Quick Lab platform, you can just use your Quick Lab login. If you're new to this, you can always just create a new account if you would like. So in my case, I'm just gonna log in with Google. Okay. So after you log into your account, you should be directed immediately to the first lab. You can always just click back and to see the whole list of labs included in this quest. Oh, let me go here. So let's go back to the first quick start. Before we get that started, let's see, has everyone have access to this lab? Can you access?
Maybe if anyone doesn't have access, you can just say in the chat, and I'll follow along with them if that's okay. Okay. Yeah, we just, again, and this study jam we're doing today, where we want to make sure everyone is comfortable using this platform, and we don't have to complete the quest, but after this event, you can continue practice your skills on this platform with the code we provide today. So just briefly, sort of introduction of this lab we're going to do. Before I start with that, so anyone who is already familiar with Quick Lab platform, feel free to jump ahead and practice following the list of labs. And once you get the 3 months, you can practice the other quests that it is included in this page. So moving into the new year 2022, GDG Edmonton will start a series of a Cloud Study Jam series, so that we will have a more consistent theme of study together, and potentially for people who wants to prepare for their certification exams, that would be a good opportunity, for you to communicate with people who has the similar goals. Now. So usually for each lab, you have the overview part, which will tell you basically what this lab is about and what Google product is going to be used, and also, what we can do in this lab. So in this case, we will be using the AI platform, and we will do the hands-on practice with the TensorFlow 2.6 without the GPU, and we will do 2 sets of practice. One is training the model locally. So it's in a console. You can use commands to train your model locally, and then get the prediction based on the model you have locally. So that is very good for individual learners or individual person to use. However, from a product point of view, you probably want to train your model in a more scalable environment, and also host that trained model in cloud, so that other services that you are running can access that model to get the results they need, rather than they have to always ask you to train it. So that's sort of the 2 parts we're doing, is that we're going to train locally, validate locally, and then we will train with the AI platform and host that trained model there, and get the prediction with the model hosted. So, and then the setup, most of the labs have the same kind of setup section, essentially just to introduce you how you can access the GCP project that you will be, do all these labs in, and always make sure you are not accidentally using your own GCP project or GCP account, because you don't really want to have those surprise bills that is associated to your personal learning here. And right after that, it is the main content of this lab. So let's see if there's a Q&A here. Already complete. Okay, great, Paul. Okay, so let's start the lab. And in this section, let's just use the subscription, because with the code we provided, you can just use the subscription part. And After you started the lab, you will have the open Google console. So in here, if you use incognito, most of the time, the email has already been prompted into it. So if you wanted to just make sure this is the right account, you can always come back here and copy paste the username and then copy the password. And then we go next, enter the password here. Accept. Oh, you have. Okay, so in my case, I still logged into my own account. So let me log that out. Let's try to open Google Console again. Next. So this will open up a project. Again, make sure this project ID is exactly the same as the lab is indicating, and agree with the term, and do not try not to click the email updates. Then agree and continue. So in here on the sidebar, this is where you can see all the services, and the main service we'll be using today is the AI platform. So if you scrolling down to the to the artificial intelligence part, and then you have the AI platform here, and you can always use this pin to pin the service on top, so that later on when you need to access this again, you can very easily sort of locate it. And then we go to the dashboard. Now in here, what we're going to do is you can see the notebooks section, and then we can view notebook instances. Once we get into here, so currently there's nothing. This is a clean project. It does not really have any running services or running models, anything. We can just create a new notebook here. And what we're going to select is the TensorFlow. We will be using 2.6 and without GPUs. So entering here, we click the pencil so that we can edit the instances. So sometimes if you do not feel like you want to change this, which is totally fine. But in our case, we will just follow what the lab is instructing us to do. So the first thing, we can change the region. In this case, we'll be using the US Central one. Everything else should be fine. For the instance, we're going to use the N1 stand 2. Everything else we can just leave exactly as it is. And then we can create this instance. So essentially what this will do is we will provision an environment. Then later on you can click into it and to view the Jupyter Notebook Lab, the Jupyter Lab. And in there you will be able to access the notebook or just go to console to create your own notebooks or copy a GitHub repository. So this may take a few minutes. So while we're waiting for this, and let's check if we have questions in the chat.
There was a question about the lab token. So I'm not sure if this is the what he means about the code or the password that actually QuickLabs gives you. Each one has a different password. So
right. So you only enter the code the first time you click into the enroll into the study jam, and once you so from this page where you have all the study jams, when you click this enroll the very first time, if you already logged out your QuickLab account, that's when you enter the code we're sharing here. And once you later on log into your account and actually enroll into the quest to start doing the labs, there are two sections. There's two options. One is use your subscription. One is you use a access code or lab code. You don't really need to use that code again there. You just use the subscription, because by enrolling first with the code we provide to you, it will give you the sufficient amount of credits to complete this quest. It asks for password. No. So when you open the console, always pay attention to the side of this lab. So this is the username or the email account you will be using to log in. So one of the reasons we recommend using incognitos, just so that you won't accidentally log into your own account. If so, the way you can check is on this side. If you did log into your own account, just log out of everything, and then let's go back here, open the console, and use this username and the password again, and then you should be able to access this project that is outlined here. Okay, let's double check here. So it is still creating and still setting up the proxy to Jupyter Lab.
So if you refresh this page, it will show the sometimes.
Yeah, it may. When I was doing the practice, it probably took 3 to 4 minutes, but let's continue monitoring here. I'm gonna just do a refresh and see. Oh, there you go. So on my part, this environment has already been provisioned, and what you can do now is open the Jupyter Lab. This will open an environment. You will see the sort of the local directory of the provisioned environment, and also a few options that you can add to your Jupyter notebooks. So we have the notebook, we have the console, and then we have other. So here is what is inside of the local directory. And the practice, let's go back to the lab instruction. So once we provisioned everything, go here, provision the lab. So that completes the first section, launch AI platform notebooks. So in the second part, what we will be doing is we're using the terminal, and then we will clone a GitHub repository, and that repository has the Jupyter notebooks that we will be executing sort of actions on. So now let's go back here. The Jupyter notebook, we can just open the terminal. Now, you can always just go back here and then copy paste using this copy function rather than type it into yourself, because a lot of times there might be errors if you just type it yourself. So we copied this line. This clones the GitHub repository. Paste it here. So as you can see in your local directory, this repository will be cloned, and then once this is completed, we will enter this directory to access the Jupyter notebook. Hasan, how is your progress? Any challenges so far?
I was refreshing it. It hasn't.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. I see it now.
Yeah. Sometimes the refresh button here might not work as well. Then you can just refresh your browser so that you can probably get the more accurate status here. And as soon as you see the Open Jupyter Lab, you can click on that, and it will open this provision environment for you. Okay. So does everyone have the repository cloned?
It is cloning now.
Okay, great. So for all the participants, if you have challenges accessing this lab or you're stuck somewhere, just send your questions either to Q&A or the general channel, and we'll try our best to help you troubleshoot as well. After all, because this is a very introductory quest, what we want to make sure is you are comfortable with using the platform. So as long as we accomplish that would be great for today. And moving to the new year, once we get into the series of study events, we will dig deeper into the actual subject of what we're trying to do. So in this case, the census data, we are not going to emphasize a lot on the nature of the data. Rather, we're just going to follow the steps with the first quick lab and make sure we can follow the steps and get everything completed, and we will be able to see the 100 out of 100 on the top right.
I would suggest maybe increase the font.
Okay.
Maybe change the theme to dark, but I don't know if that would be helpful. To me, it would be helpful because it's like bright. But if other people say something about it, we'll.
Okay. Yeah, let's increase to 150
Yeah,
here.
it looks good now. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so after we clone this repository, we can just double click in this. This is exactly like your local file directory, and the subdirectory we're accessing is the self-paced labs and the AI platform quick start. So this is matching the name of the lab we're accessing. So we're getting here, and then we double click, and we can open that notebook. Now, once we get into here, so notebook does give us a very good interface that you have the instructions, but you can executing all those commands as well. So these are already pre-programmed, and there's different ways we can run this notebook. We can either run step by step, or we can run the entire notebook. We're not recommending running the whole notebook, because there's certain part in this notebook you will need to copy paste certain dynamic variables while you're provisioning the model and the version. There are certain things that is dynamic, and not everyone has the same information. So you will be prompted to actually copy that content and replace some of the hint text in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do step by step here.
There's a question about pausing the lab, and I think it's no.
Can you pause the lab? I don't think you can pause the lab, but you can access this lab later on. So let's just say 1 hour, for very first time you use a quick lab environment, you don't, it takes you a lot of time to figure out where things are, and at the end you run out of time. That's totally fine. I had a few labs that actually took me longer than 1 hour for the first time. So what you can do is you can just re-enter this lab again, and second round, we will be more efficient on locating what you need and a few of the steps. And also, all these labs you can repeatedly practicing. If the first time you didn't really get all the details you need, or you didn't get all the learning you need, do it again, and eventually you just get so familiar with this format, and your learning speed is also going to pick up. Oh, you only have 5 attempts. That's good to know. I never really run into 5 attempts, so I always thought that you can just repeatedly do it again and again. All right, Hasan, are we okay to start doing the step by step here?
Yeah.
Okay. As we mentioned, that we probably won't want to get into too much of the nature of the data. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to follow the instruction here, and then we're going to do the step-by-step run. So the first is import OS. So once this is done, you will see a number indicated in front. That basically means that this part is successful. Sometimes when there's an error showing, you will see the console log underneath it. So the first one is get your training data. So in this case, we're just using the GSUTL command to create a cloud bucket. So we're going to go ahead, making that directory.
Just want to say there is a shortcut to run the cells if you want, with the shift and return button together, and then runs the cell.
Use shift and
return.
Enter. Okay, let's see.
Enter. Yeah.
So this one just create. This one is actually not create a bucket. This is copy a remote bucket content into your local directory, and as you can see, you have the data here. So you have all the CSV file as your raw data or your training data that you will be using. Now we just continue to the next step. So this set up the environment variables. And the next thing we will see what is the first few lines of the data that we'll be using. This is the adult.data, and if you go here, you should be able to see the adult.data.csv file. And now in the second step, what we will be doing is that we are using the command, the AI platform command, and to train the model locally and make the prediction with the local trained model. And pay attention to your directory here. You will see a few folders being created, and that's where sort of the outcome of the training and the prediction will be. So let's go ahead. So first, we create a trainer directory, and then we are adding some Python files there, and that would be used for the training purpose. And the first one here, there's a lot of Python code here. We're not going to get into it, but essentially what this does is that this will write this file into the trainer directory. So writing, and if you go to the trainers, you should be able to see this util.py file created. Now, there are a few more files we'll be creating here. So this is the trainer.model file, and this is the task file. I'm gonna check the question here. Okay.
Questions currently.
Okay, so then let's go to the step 2.2, which is run a training job. So in here, you can see we're using the G-Cloud API platform command, and to train locally. And the package path, this is the trainer directory, which we just created a bunch of Python file there. And yeah, let's run this command.
This will take some time.
Yeah. So until the task is completed, you will see the sort of the star symbol here. Once it is completed, it will turn into the number indicators as we see before. Hasan, feel free to chime in. This is more your sort of your territory.
Yeah, it's basically training the model. That's why it's taking some time, and it will just put the output in. I see the output soon.
Yep.
On the side panel.
And the training model will be in the output directory, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, let's just patiently wait for this part to be complete. And after that, we will do oh, there you go. So this is just logs regarding the training process that we're seeing there. Just to confirm this training is completed, the next command that we'll be executing is just to list the output directory. So go here. Okay. So always feel free to just go to the output directories, and then you will see in the export, it has the saved model. So this is now currently stored in your local directory. And the next thing what we do is sort of pre-processing of the data for the prediction. We will just continue run this code. So we import that data, and then we can print out the prediction input information that we'll be using. Now we open the test.json, and again, that data is in here, the test.json file. And to confirm it is actually being loaded, we'll just use cat and to show what is the data inside of this JSON file. Now, with everything set up, we have the test.json, and also we have the training model in the output directory. The next thing we can do is use the training model for prediction. Let's go back here. So this will be, again, using the AI platform command, and the difference later on you will see is that the command between training and predict locally versus on the AI platform are very similar. The only difference is when it is local, you do use the local keyword here. And based on that, we have the predicted result here. Let's just make sure everyone is getting this result. Hasan, have you completed this step as well?
Yes, I see the results.
Is your results similar to mine, or there's slightly difference?
Yeah, there is difference, a little bit, slight differences. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Later on, we will also see that your local training model versus your cloud platform training model, it will give you different results. And a lot of times, Hassan, correct me if I am wrong. It is depending on what environment you are training with and how powerful that training engine is. It will give you sort of different kind of accuracy with the prediction.
The results should be slightly different. Like it's not going to be very different in a way.
Okay.
That it, yeah, like it should be just slightly different. Might be similar. But yeah, that's correct. Right.
Okay. So are we getting questions from?
Nothing in Q&A, nothing here.
Okay, that's good. And then let's continue with this lab then. So we just did the sort of the training and the prediction steps with the local environment. And the reason being it is local is because currently probably only you can access your model in this output directory, and only you can make prediction against this training model. So the next thing we are trying to do is that we will be actually using the AI platform to train your model, so that model will be stored in cloud. Part of the reason that we would want to leverage the AI platform is more scalable environment, more powerful machines potentially you can use for the training purpose, and also make it available to team members and other people you're working on the same project with. So let's go ahead. Sorry, it's predicting again. Let's go to the next step. Now, this is where you can see replace your project name. So this is one of the two locations that I mentioned that if you run this whole Jupyter notebook, you won't succeed. Partially is because there's some manual task here you need to edit. However, if you want, you can edit this notebook from the beginning, and instead of manually replacing that, you can just directly using this environmental variables to replace it, so that you don't have to do this manual replacing. So let's run this. It will give you the current project name. So this name will be exactly the same as what is provisioned for you from the lab project ID. And let's replace that. Copy this content and replace your project name. Now we run this command again, set up the environmental variables. Next thing is the same. So set up a cloud storage bucket. So this is a command that will be creating a bucket and using the environment variables we're already setting up here. So let's go ahead. Okay, there you go. So where can you actually check this bucket you created and all the files you have been copied to that? Is that you can go back to the GCP project, and you can go to the storage. Should it be in cloud storage? I'm going to pin this on top as well, and then you can go browse. And in here, you will be able to see the bucket we just created and all with all the data we copied. You can compare this data along with the data we sort of copied earlier to the local to use to train the model and validate the model. It is the same copy of data. So we're copying that into Cloud Bucket so that other Google products can easily access that data to do the task we assign them to. So continue with this step. We define the training data and evaluation data. And we copy that file. So if we go back here, we should be able. So it should be copied. Let's double check. So we'll copy that into data.json. So we have the test.json here. So everything looks fine. We'll continue with this step.
So there's just a question about any time series labs that you would recommend. I'm not a I don't know on the Google's cloud if there's any labs. I'm pretty sure there might be but if you wanna practice this, maybe also. Anyways, maybe Ray, you could answer that before I get to a different area.
Right. I'm trying to not to exit here. So in the platform, you can always just search. So if there's specific technology you're interested or specific Google product you're interested, you can just go. So here's the thing. I'm not sure if I exit this now. When I go back, it will have the same progress. But essentially, in the sort of catalog, you can search your keyword. It will prompt the relevant labs or quests that you can participate. Personally, I haven't done any time series labs yet, but feel free to search there, and then you can probably find the results you need. All right, so after we complete this step, so this is creating the cloud bucket and also copying the necessary data we need. We can go back to lab here, and then there's a checkpoints here. So this is created the bucket. So we already double checked with actual going to the bucket to see, but here it'll Quick Lab also give you the checkpoint that is just to make sure you're on track with the progress you should be at this time. So I'm going to check my progress. So this bucket is created, and are all the data files there? Okay, all the data files are there as well. So by checking these two, it basically means I'm ready to continue to the 3.2 task, which is we're going to run a single instance trainer. I'm going to come here. As you can see here, we use the G Cloud API platform jobs, submit a training job. So we're going to continue with that. This can also be time consuming. So where can I see where, where is this job and what's the status of it? So we can go back to the Cloud Console, and then we pinned the AI platform on top, so we can just go there, and there's the jobs. So if we go to the jobs, you can see there's a job created, and it's currently preparing for that. So let's just wait for that's done. And in your Jupyter Notebook, it also gives you indication. So this job has been submitted, but we're just waiting for the completion of it. Now, the very next line, there's another manual replacement we need to do. So the job ID, as you can see, is over here. So we're just going to copy that and replace into this field. And then we're going to get ready for the next step. Refresh here. Hasan, are you in the same step as well?
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is this is a task that just like when we train a model locally, it will take time. So let's just patiently wait on that. While we're waiting for that, we can always go to the logs. You have the view logs. Go in there just to see the status on what's going on with this job. So at this time, we should be able to see that the job is submitted. Job creation has been successfully validated, and we're just waiting for the training to start. While we're waiting on that, let's answer questions if there are any.
There is none, but could you go back on your notebook?
Yeah.
See, like if I change that. Okay, I'll wait till you're on the next ones because I think.
Okay, make sure.
I'll just wait. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you're ahead of time, ahead in this training process already, then just make sure that your job ID need to be manually replaced, and your job ID is printed out from the step 24 here, and using that ID and put it here. Now let's see the progress. So this goes my training. It's still processing. Okay, so the task completed successfully.
So from the log, that's telling me it's complete successfully, but let's go back to the job and then just refresh and see if it is actually completed. So this is still running. Let's just wait for it, wait a bit for this to be completed. Regarding the question earlier, let's see. I'm going to try to do the search here. We're already logging. Okay, so if you go to catalog, this is where all the labs and quests are, and always just to do the search you would like. So let's see if there's if we search time series, if there's anything shows up. So there's actually relevant quests come in. So it depends on what your interest is or what your goal is. You can probably pick the labs you are interested in and take on that. Okay, let's go back to the job and see. My job is still running. Hasan, is yours completed?
Right.
Okay. Finish.
I'll be right back.
Okay. After this step is completed, we'll go back to the lab page and do a checkpoint with the run. Once that's done, we can complete it. We can complete that step and then moving to 3.3. Just a little bit sort of preview here. So in 3.3, what we will be doing is that we're using the command to create a models, and this model will be accessing the trained model file we have already done with the 3.2 step. And after that, we'll be creating a version. And once that version is done, we can then make prediction against that specific model and version that we have already created. Hmm. 5 minutes is still going. Oh, so my job just succeeded. So just be patient if yours is still running and there's no rush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with this process. So that part is done, and then I can go back to the lab here and check my progress. So that part is also done. Then let's move on to 3.3. Just shoot a message in the chat if you need more time. Otherwise, this part really is just waiting for the job to be done in the cloud platform. Hasan, has yours job completed?
Sorry. Yes, it's completed now.
Okay, so let's continue with this process. So next thing, we still do the step by step. That's the model name that we'll be using to create the model, and then we create that model. Again, same thing here. If you want to check the model actually in your console, you can always just go back to the GCP project, and then you go to the models. So now there's a census model being created. But if you go to that model, currently there's no version. So the next step we will be doing is creating versions. So here we'll be deploying the training model to version 1. Go ahead with that. So this is also a task that may take several minutes to deploy, but let's go back here and refresh this page and see. So we have the version 1 here, and then we're just waiting for the creation of this model. And once that's done, we can predict against this model from the Jupyter Notebook. So again, what's the difference between this step versus the step we done before is that the trained model, everything is in your local. When you make a prediction, probably only you can access this model and make a prediction. Versus in this case, we're actually store that model into the cloud platform, and any services you run on GCP with the proper access, they should be able to make their predictions against that model as well. Still creating. Hasan, let me know once your version 1 is created, just so that I have a checkpoint on where potentially our participants are. And again, feel free to send your request in the chat channel if you need more time or you're stuck somewhere.
I think I'm having a problem actually, but
okay. Do you have any error message?
No, it's still running actually, but I think I'll just wait. But
okay.
I'm not sure if this will execute properly.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah. See if others are working for them.
Okay, so on my end, as you can see, once this is completed, you will have the green check circle here. So what we can do now is we can come here, and also as you can see, the step 28 is also completed. I'm going to run this command. Now, during my test, this command will not give you the correct result because it says there's 0 items there. However, if you come to this AI platform and models and go into your versions, that model is actually there. So there's if you see that 0 items queried, you don't need to worry about that. And again, the ultimate checkpoint that we can do is we can go to the lab page and do the 2 checkpoints here. So created the AI platform model. Yes, we already did. And also our version 1 is also created. So by checking this, it confirms that we are following the right process.
Mine actually worked. Yeah.
Okay, great. Did you also get the 0 items listed from the step 29? Okay, yep. So let's continue. So final step of this lab is that now we have the trained model and the version hosted on the AI platform. And then let's make a prediction using the test.json against that model. So you have a sort of predicted result. And if you compare this with your local trained model,
result, you will you will be able to tell they are slightly different, just like when even we're using the same methodology, we may also get slightly different results. All right. So if you complete the step 30, then that's everything this lab is about. And what are we hoping is by the end of this, you are comfortable with using the platform. And it is the lab is designed for self-paced learning. So you should be able to grab every information you need from the instructions to complete the lab. So once you've done this part, you can just complete this. Let's just leave this site.
They're pretty good at commenting and writing a lot of information.
Yeah.
So I usually, you don't find that much comments in codes.
Yeah. So by this point, after you've done all those checkpoints, you should be able to see your 100 out of 100. So this lab is actually completed for you, and you can just enter the lab and submit. You can add comments if you like, and then you can just go back, and it will go back to the quest, and you can continue with the rest of the labs. So it is the same idea. You would go into this lab. It has the overview telling you what the lab is about and what product will be used. And in this one is the cloud data prep. And the setup requirements, every lab has this similar setup, which is you start the lab and make sure to use the username and password provided or provisioned by QuickLab. And then just continue to the rest of the lab. So on top of that, usually what I would also do just to sort of complete this lab is to sign out from this account, just in case when you start a new lab, you provision a new account, you would accidentally click into the previous account. So I would just sign out this, and then that's completed for this one. We are at 11:31. Xingli and Rohan, should we just conclude the study jam here? As long as everyone has, getting yourself comfortable with the first lab, you can take your own time after this event to complete the rest in this quest. And after you complete the quest, that you're guaranteed a second month. I'm not sure about the third month, but you're guaranteed a second month of free access to the platform. And once you have that, you can just go to the catalog, search whatever lab you're interested in, and just go practice. Or there's a path. So in this path, it has a more sort of consistent theme, kind of a trajectory that you can follow. If you're interested in machine learning, you have the machine learning there. If you are interested in database engineering, there's all different kind of learning path. Just follow it through, and you will gain a lot of practice, the hands-on practices with the Google Cloud Platform. And once you complete the quest, usually you can go to your profile. You should be able to see the badges you earn. So this is sort of through the past few years that just occasionally, whenever you have time, you can, again, all these lab is very self-explained, and you can just take on those labs and complete your quest and get the badges, and it is something cool to show off as well.
Thank you, Ray and Hassan, for the great instructions. So for now, I will leave to Rohan for the lucky draw. And if you have more questions for the audience, if you have more questions, please feel free to ask. Even after this event, you can join our Slack channel. Cool. And Rohan, the lucky draw.
Sure, yeah. So I guess, thanks Ray and Hassan for the wonderful cloud study jam. And yeah, it was complex, but I think if everybody follows the instruction, it should be easy enough. So I guess in the beginning, we talked about the lucky draw, and we have 3 Amazon gift cards and 3 Uber Eats gift cards, and each gift card is valued at 20 Canadian dollars. So what we'll do is, if you have received a message in the DM, make sure you reply to that. And if you're still in the meeting, maybe reply or maybe send a message in the general chat, so that I know I can, just get the names who I'll include in the lucky draw. So yeah, so some people have replied to my messages, so I'll just call out their names. And so the first set of gift cards would be the Amazon gift cards, which are valued at $20, 20 Canadian dollars. And so the first winner is Mike Hoff. So congratulations, Mike. You got an Amazon gift card worth $20, and we'll send it to you via email. Okay. And the second winner for the Amazon gift card was Shinryan Tie. So congrats, Shinryan, for winning the $20 Amazon gift card. The third winner was Kaustuba Bharadwaj. So congrats, Kaustuba, for winning the $20 Amazon gift card. The fourth person is, let me see here. Now from the next 3 gift cards would be for Uber Eats, so like $20. And so the next winner is Isiri Onukuruhefe. I'm sure I pretty much butchered that name, but yeah, you won the $20 Uber Eats gift card. Congratulations, Isiri. And then Paul, I guess. Yeah, Paul M. Summit. You also won a $20 Amazon gift card. So congratulations, Paul. I'll just note your name down here. And is the final person was Yanming Shu. Yeah, so Yanming Shu, you won a $20 Amazon, Uber Eats gift card as well. So yeah, congratulations everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the DevFest, all the great lightning talks, and you learned a lot, and also you had like a great experience with the Cloud Study Jam. And if you want to say something, please post it in the chat. And I guess with that, we can wrap up the event. Shilly, do you have any parting words?
Good, and just wish everyone a great weekend, and thank you so much for joining our event. Hopefully that we can see you all next year for our cloud study group, and also the potential flattering cloud study jam and many more events. Wish you a Merry Christmas and happy holidays.